And now I have a question from Christophe Keromen. Okay, Agile company now, not being Agile, but Agile company. Does it make sense?
What does, please help me if you can, is Christophe here?
No.
Okay, so try to read his mind. What does he mean by the phrase Agile company?
Okay, alors, now a lot of companies are trying to do agility, Agile, starting by Agile projects, for example, Scrum project, then they consider the project is in Agile mode.
Yep.
You have the projects, the team, and then when you go to the larger scope and you want to encompass all activities of your company and make your company agile, does it make sense? This is how I understand the question of Christophe.
Sure, but we already have that the word "are you agile or not" as an interest. It's not an interesting question. So is the company agile or not? Is not an interesting question.
Alors,
I'm going to turn it around.
Yeah,
it's okay. But go ahead.
I would turn it this way. Does it make sense for a company-wide to tend to apply the values, the practice, and so on? So to be agile, that means,
Okay, so let's shift the question around. If the Agile Manifesto was our encoding of what does it mean to do effective, efficient work, then you would ask the question, for a company, does this value center create an efficient company? In other words, if you pay attention to the quality of community, the level of trust, the morale, the interactions between exact people inside the company, is that likely to improve the company? Yeah, I'll go with that one. That sounds plausible. If you increase the rate of feedback through working deliverables from each person in the company to the outside and back again, will that make the company somehow better? Yeah, I'll accept that one. If you have the people in the company collaborate directly with their customers and use it, is that likely to improve the working of the company? Yeah, I'm getting that one, yeah. So if it fixates on existing plans as opposed to paying attention to current reality, which is better? Paying attention to current reality? Yeah, okay. So I get that the 4 values of the manifesto could be a useful set of values for a company to pay attention to. And if they paid attention to them, they could do better as a company. Now, what for me is important is to not accept the question as stated, but to create a question that's meaningful, more meaningful.
Sure.
Okay, so the way I hear and convert that into what I think is an interesting discussion point, I think is the important part of the answer.
Sure.
That's what I want to convey, because these questions of is a company agile, is it like so
Clear.
It's not on the list.
Clear. What I understand as well behind that, and you have answered as well, is mostly the people who are interested are mostly the R&D software people, mostly. And for example, the sales guy, I've rarely myself seen sales guy jumping into the agile values and principles and trying to implement that towards the customer.
But I've seen it one time and it worked great. So there was a company and they showed us their wall, and their salespeople had a daily stand-up, and they showed all across the wall all of the leads they were pursuing, the state of it. When someone would say, I'm having trouble with this one, some other salesperson would jump in and say, I can do this, da-da-da. So they had collaborative, they're doing fine-grained feedback, all the things that you would ask for. The other thing I want to bring up about Agile Company, and I will refer to the Toyota production system.
Yeah.
So Toyota got the in-house manufacturing very tight. Their next bottleneck, the next problem was the suppliers. The suppliers were being loose and messy. So they had to extend their reach into the other companies that were supplying them. And then they were having problems with the distributors of their cars. So they had to extend the reach. So in order to continue being more effective, they had to extend the reach out from just Toyota to include the supply chain, the delivery chain, and so on. For anything that is going to get more efficient, this will be the case. So we are already seeing quite often that the programming department it's at its top efficiency. It is got no specific problems to resolve anymore. And so we need to affect the way that the executives are making decisions, the way that the business people are selecting things to build, the way suppliers are providing things, the way the testers, the way that the operations are going. all of these things start to take more importance, and so the style of working, the quest for efficiency leaks outward continually until it will get outside the company. And so in this sense, when you say agile company makes sense, yes, it makes sense because we're taking something that is efficient and now looking to broaden its reach. So in that sense, yes, makes sense.
Okay, and if I dig more, for example, we just talked about the influence and potential implication of the sales guy. And what about human resources department?
Oh, interesting human resources department. This was a mystery to me for many years. And then, because I'm the kind of person like, what do I want a human resources department for? And then someone said, well, you know, the people in the human resources department are those who are trained in how to resolve disagreements between employees. So actually, if you're going to say that quality of community is like the most important thing, then you better make good use of your human resources department and all the trained professionals inside of there. So suddenly, and I have met a grand total of maybe 2 human resources departments or people there who saw that they had an important role to play in creating the culture and the community inside the company, and were active about it. And that was a real delight to see.
I suppose so. I suppose a human resources department that does not care about an agile transformation ongoing on the company could be not that easy.
Well, you know, people like to sit inside their little departments and, you know, not look outside in every company in every country. So, yeah, there are human resources people who also don't look outside.
The 2 you saw that delighted you, did they call themselves still human resources?
Yeah, and they did. And one of them, there was absolutely an official outreach, and the other was kind of accidental. It was just the person who was there, and she was just the kind of person who couldn't help but going around making everybody's life better everywhere she went. That's just the way she was built.
Yeah.
What's your next question?
For sure. No, the next question is coming. Just to say that usually human resources assess the performance, what they say, the performance of individuals. And it could be something that could slow down team spirit and team collaboration. For example, as a team player, for example, I will not fulfill all my personal objectives because I will take a lot of time to ensure the full team works correctly. And
so there's adjustments. This is a good question, which is I work for myself. I don't have any employees. So the question of annual appraisals is not one for me. But I watch and I ask this question a lot. But what is absolutely the case is the annual appraisal, the performance appraisal, has to include the question, how good is this person at helping the team? In other words, collaboration questions become essential element. So if you are paying attention to your own productivity and not helping the team, then you would get a lower performance appraisal than if you are in fact helping the team.